संसारदावा नललीढलोका त्राणाय कारुण्य घन घनात्वम् प्राप्तस्य कल्याणगुणार्णवस्य वन्दे गुरो श्रीचरणारविन्दम् प्राप्तस्य कल्याणगुणार्णवस्य वन्दे गुरो श्रीचरणारविन्दम् महाप्रभु कीर्तन नृत्य गीता वादित्रमाध्यान् मनसोरसेना रोमाञ्चकम्पाश्रुतरङ्गभाजो वन्दे गुरो श्रीचरणारविन्दाम् श्रीविग्रहाराधननित्यनाना शृङ्गारतान्मन्दिरमार्जनादौ युक्तस्य भक्तां निञ्जतोऽपि वन्दे गुरो श्रीचरणारविन्दम् चतुर्विधा श्रीभगवत्प्रसादा स्वाद्वन्नतृप्तान् हरिभक्तसङ्घान् कृत्वैव तृप्तिं भजत सदैव वन्दे गुरो श्रीचरणारविन्दम् श्रीराधिका माधवयोरपारा माधुर्यलीला गुणरूपनाम्नाम् प्रतिक्षणा स्वाधनलोलुपस्य वन्दे गुरो श्रीचरणारविन्दम् निकुञ्जयूनो रतिकेलिसिद्धै यायालिभिर्युक्तिरपेक्षणीया तत्रातिदाक्षादातिवल्लभास्य वन्दे गुरो श्रीचरणारविन्दम् साक्षाद्धरित्वेन समस्तशास्त्रै उक्तस्तथा भाव्यत एव सद्भिः किन्तु प्रभोर्या प्रिय एव तस्य वन्दे गुरो श्रीचरणारविन्दम् यस्य प्रसादात् भगवत्प्रसादो यस्य प्रसादान्नगति कुतोऽपि ध्यायास्तु वंस्तस्य यशस्त्रिसन्ध्या वन्दे गुरो श्रीचरणारविन्दम् वन्दे गुरो श्रीचरणारविन्दम् वन्दे गुरो श्रीचरणारविन्दम् नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्ता स्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवी गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यादेशतारिणे श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंदा श्री अद्वैता गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंदा कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे निताय गौरा हरि बोल निताय गौर हरि बोल निताय गौर हरि बोल।
नमामीश्वरं सच्चिदानन्दरूपं लसत्कुण्डलं गोकुले व्रजमानम् यशोदाभियोलोकलाधवमानं परां दृष्टामत्यन्ततो वृतगोप्या रुदन्तं मुहुर्नेत्रयुग्मामृजन्तं कराम्बोजयुग्मेन सान्तकनेत्रम् मुहुस्वासकम्पातिरेकान्तकान्ता स्थितग्रैव दामोदरं भक्तिबादम् इति दृक्स्वलीलाभिरानन्दकुण्डे स्वघोषं निमज्जन्तम् आख्यापयन्तम् तदीयेषु तज्ञेषु भक्तिर्चितत्वं पुनः प्रेमतस्तं सतावृत्ति वन्दे वरं देवमोक्षं न मोक्षावधिं वा न चान्यं वृणेऽहं वारे सदपीह इदं देवपूर्णाता गोपालबालं सदा मे मनस्या विरास्तं किमन्ये इतं ते मुकाम्बोजम् अत्यन्तनीलैर्वृतं कुन्दलैः स्निग्धराक्तश्च गोप्या मुहुस्कुम्भितं बिम्बारत्नाकरा मे मनस्या विरास्तं मालं लक्षलाभे नमामीश्वरं सच्चिदानन्तरूपं लसत्कुण्डलं गोकुले व्रजमानम् नमो देवदामोदरानन्तविष्णु प्रसीद प्रभो दुःखजालभिमग्नम् कृपादृष्टिवृष्ट्याति दीनबन्धानु गृहादेशमामज्ञं ये दक्षिदृष्ट्या कुबेरात्मजौ भक्तमुत्रैव यद्वत् त्वया मोचितौ भक्तिपाजौ कृतौ च तथा प्रेम भक्तिं स्वकाम्निं प्रयच्छ न मोक्षे ग्रहो मेऽस्ति दामोदरेह नमस्तेऽस्तु दाम्ने स्फुरदीप्तिदाम्ने त्वदीयोदराय विश्वस्य दाम्ने नमो राधिकाय त्वदीया प्रियाय नमो नन्दलीलाय देवाय तुभ्यम् नमो राधिकाय त्वदीया प्रियाय नमो नन्दलीलाय देवाय तुभ्यम् नमामीश्वरं सच्चिदानन्तरूपं लसत्कुण्डलं गोकुले व्रजमानम् Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ramo, Hare Ramo, Ramo Ramo, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ramo, Hare Ramo, Ramo Ramo, Hare Hare. I'll sing that. One more time. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ramo, Hare Ramo, Ramo Ramo, Hare Hare. Jaya Radha Damodara Radha Damodara Radhe Jaya Radha Nila Madhav Radha Nila Madhav Radhe Jaya Gauranitai Jaya Gauranitai Jaya Gauranitai Jaya Gauranitai Nitai Gaura Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Nitai Gaura Hari Bol
Jai Om Shnu Pada Pramhamsa Prajakachaya Ashtota Shata Shishmat His Divine Grace Aparachana Vrinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. ISKCON BBT Bhaktivedanta Institute Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jai Om Shnu Pada Pramhamsa Prajakachaya Ashtota Shata Shishmat His Divine Grace Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnavanda Ki Jai. Nama Acharya Srila Haridasa Ku Ki Jai. Premise Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Dadara Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shama Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai. Shri Vrajabhumi Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai. Shri Navadvip Mayapur Dham Ki Jai. Purushottama Chaita Jagannath Dham Ki Jai. Shri Ayodhya Dham Ki Jai. Ganga Mai Ki Jai. Yamuna Mai Ki Jai. Bhakti Devi Ki Jai. Tulsi Devi Ki Jai. Samarita Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai. Shri Damodar Masa Kartika Masa Ki Jai. Shri Yashoda Damodar Ki Jai. Shri Radha Damodar Ki Jai. Nitai Gaura Premanande Hari Hari Bol. All glory to the assembled devotees. All glory to the assembled devotees. All glory to the assembled devotees. All glory to Shri Shri Guru and Gauranga. All glory to Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai.
Namaste Narasimhaya. Praladadadaina. Hiranyakashipur Rakshaha. Shilatankanakalaye. Ito Narsima Padato Narsima. Yato yato yamitato Narsima. Bahir Narsima Hridaye Narsima. Narasimha Madim Sharanam Prapadye. Navakara Kamalavade Nakam Adbhuta Shringam Dalita Hiranyakashipu Tanubringam Keshavadrita Narahari Rupa Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare. Narsimhadev, Narsimhadev, Jaya Narsimhadev. Jaya Prahlad Maharaj, Prahlad Maharaj, Prahlad Maharaj. Prahlad Maharaj. Jaya Jaya Gurudev, 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 Jaya Jaya Gurudev.
So we'll read the translation for Damodara Ashtakam. To the Supreme Lord, whose form embodies eternity, knowledge and bliss, whose earrings swing to and fro, who shines beautifully in Gokula, who quickly ran from the grinding mortar in fear of Mother Yashoda, and who was caught from behind by her, who ran faster than he. To that Supreme Lord, Damodara, I offer my humble obeisances. Upon seeing his mother's whipping stick, he cried and rubbed his eyes again and again with his two hands, lotus hands. His eyes were fearful, and his quickened breathing through the strand of pearls on his neck, which bore 3 lines, those on a conch shell. To that Supreme Lord, Sri Radha Damodara, whose belly is bound with ropes of his mother's pure love, I offer my humble obeisances. With these super excellent childhood pastimes, Lord Krishna drowned the residents of Gokula in pools of ecstasy. In this way, he declared to those absorbed in knowledge of his majesty and opulence, I am conquered only by my pure loving devotees. With great love, I again offer my obeisances to the Lord Damodara hundreds and hundreds of times. O Lord, though you can award all kinds of benedictions, I pray to you neither for the boon of personal liberation, nor for the highest liberation of eternal life in Vaikuntha, nor for any other such boon. O Lord, I simply wish that this form of yours as Balagopala in Vrindavan may ever manifest in my heart. For what use do I have for any other boon besides this? O Lord, again and again Mother Yashoda kisses your lotus feet, which is framed by locks of soft black hair tinged with red and beautified by your lips colored like red like the bimba fruit. May this vision of your lotus face ever be manifest in my heart. Thousands and thousands of other benedictions are no use to me. O Supreme God, I offer my respectful obeisance unto you. O Damodara, O Ananta, O Vishnu, O Master, O Lord, be pleased upon me. Shower me with your beautiful glances and deliver this poor ignorant fool immersed in an ocean of worldly sorrows and become visible to my eyes. O Lord Damodara, as a baby tied to a running motor, you delivered Kuera's 2 sons from the curse of Narada and made them great devotees. In the same way, please give me pure loving devotion to you. I long for this alone and have no desire for any kind of liberation. O Lord Damodara, obeisances unto you, the brilliant effulgent rope binding obeisance unto your belly, the abode of the entire universe, the obeisances unto your dear most beloved Srimati Radharani, and obeisance unto you, O Lord, who displays unlimited pastimes. Shri Shri Radha Damodar Bhagavan ki jai.
नमो नमः। तुलसी कृष्ण प्रेयसी नमो नमः। राधा कृष्ण सेवा पावो हे अभिलाषी। राधा कृष्ण सेवा पावो हे अभिलाषी। ये तुम्हारा शरण लोय तारा वांछा पूर्ण होय। कृपा कोरी कोरो तारे वृंदावनवासी। मोराए अभिलाष विलास कुंजे दियो वास। नयने हेरिबो सदा युगल रूपरासी। हे निवेदन दारो सखीरनुगत कोरो। सेवाधिकार दिए कोरो निज दासी। दीन कृष्ण दासे कोई न मोरा होय। श्री राधा गोविंद प्रेमे सदा ये न बासी। श्री राधा गोविंद प्रेमे सदा ये न बासी। यानि कानि च पापानि ब्रह्महत्यादिकानि च तानि तानि प्रणश्यन्ति प्रदक्षिण पदे पदे। यानि कानि च पापानि ब्रह्महत्यादिकानि च तानि तानि प्रणश्यन्ति प्रदक्षिण पदे पदे। पापानि ब्रह्महत्यधिकानि च तानि तानि प्रणश्यन्ति प्रदक्षिणपदे पदे Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Vrinda Devi, Jaya Vrinda Devi, Jaya Vrinda Devi, Jaya Vrinda Devi. Jaya Tulsi Maharani, Jaya Tulsi Maharani, Jaya Tulsi Maharani, Jaya Tulsi Maharani. Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol. Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol. वृन्दाये तुलसीदेव्याय प्रियाय केशवस्य च विष्णुभक्ति प्रतिदेवी सत्यव्रताय नमो नमः. वृन्दाये तुलसीदेव्याय प्रियाय केशवस्य च विष्णुभक्ति प्रतिदेवी सत्यव्रताय नमो नमः. वृन्दाये तुलसीदेव्याय प्रियाय केशवस्य च विष्णुभक्ति प्रतिदेवी सत्यव्रताय नमो नमः. वृन्दाये तुलसीदेवी महारानी की जय.
My desire is to obtain the service of Sri Radha and Krishna.
Whoever takes shelter of you has wished fulfilled. Bestow mercy upon him and make him a resident of Vrindavana. My desire also grant me residence in the precious groves of Shri Vrindavana town. Thus within my vision shall it behold the beautiful pastime of Radha and Krishna. I beg you to make me a follower of Karho Danso's Virgin. Please give me the privileged devotional service and make me your own maid servant. This very fallen lowly servant of Krishna prays. May I always swim in the love of Shri Radha and Govinda. Srimati Tulsi Maharani ki jai. There are 10 offenses in the matter of chanting holy names that should be avoided, and they are as follows. 1. To blaspheme the devotees who have dedicated their life for propagating the holy name of the Lord. 2. To consider the name of the demigods allow Shiva or Brahma to be equal to independent name Lord Vishnu. 3. To disobey the order of spiritual master. 4. To blaspheme the Veda literature or literature pursuant the Vedic version. 5. To consider the glory of chanting Hare Krishna to be imagination. 6. To give some interpretation to the holy name of the Lord. 7. To commit sinful activities and strength of chanting the holy name. 8. To consider chanting Hare Krishna one of the auspicious ritualistic activities, offering the Veda the fruity activities, Karma Ganda. 9. To instruct a faithless person about glory's holy name. 10. To not complete faith in the chanting holy names and to maintain material attachments in understanding so many instructions on this matter. It is also an offense to be inattentive while chanting. Every devotee who claims a Vaishnava must carefully guard against these 10 offenses in order to quickly achieve desired success. Krishna Prema. Now let us offer most humble obeisances unto all the Vaishnava devotees of the Lord. They are just as I trees who can fulfill to everyone, and they are full of compassion for the fallen conditioned souls. Shri Chaitanya Shikshastakam ki jai. Cheto Darpana Marjanam Pavamahadavakni Nirvapanam Shriya Kairava Chantrika Vitaranam Vidyavatu Jivanam Anandam Buddhivardhanam Pratipadam Purunarmita Swadanam Sarvatmasnapanam Paravijayate Shri Krishna Sankirtanam Nam Namakali Bahuda Nija Sarva Shaktis Tatra Pita Niyamita Smaranena Kalaha Etadishi Tava Kripa Bhagavam Mamapi Durudeva Midisham Iha Janina Nuragaha Trinatapi Sunichena Tarorapi Sahishnuna Amanina Manadena Kirtaniya Sadaharihi Na Thanam Na Janam Na Sundarim Kavitam Vajagadisha Kamaye Mama Jammani Jamanishware Bhavata Bhaktir Haituki Toyi Ayi Nanda Tanuja Kinkaram Patitam Mam Vishame Bhavam Buddha Kripaya Tava Pada Pankaja Sthita Duri Satesham Vichintaya Nayanam Galata Shrutaraya Vadanam Katkata Rudaya Gira Pulakai Nichitam Vapur Kata Tava Nama Karane Bhavishati Yuga itam nimishena chakshusha pravisha itam shunya itam jagat sarvam govinda virahe name ashirishava padaratam pinnashtumam adarshanam marmhatam karotuva yatha tathava vidadhatu lampato matprananathastu sa eva na paraha Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Shri Chaitanya Shikshastakam ki jai. Glory to the Shri Krishna Sankirtana, which cleanses the heart of all the dust accumulated for years and extinguishes fire of conditional life for repeated birth and death. This Sankirtan movement is prime benediction of humanity at large because it spreads the rays and benediction moon. It is the life of all transcendental knowledge. It increases the ocean transcendent bliss and enables us to fully taste the nectar for which always anxious. O my Lord, your holy name alone grant all benediction to human beings. Thus you have hundreds of millions of names like Krishna and Govinda. In these transcendental names you have vested all your transcendental energies. There are not even hard and fast rules for chanting these names. O my Lord, out of kindness enable us to easily approach by your holy names, but I'm so unfortunate and have no attraction for them. One should chant the holy name of the Lord in humble state of mind, thinking himself lower than the strolling street. One should be more tall than the tree, devoid of all sense of false prestige, and should be ready to offer all respect to others. In such a state of mind, one can chant the holy name of the Lord constantly. O Almighty Lord, I have no desire to accumulate wealth, nor do I desire beautiful women, nor do I want any number of followers. I only want your cause of devotional service, birth after birth. O Sanghamar Nanda Krishna, I'm your eternal servitor, yet somehow I fall into the ocean of birth and death. Please pick me up from this ocean of death and place me as one of Adam's lotus feet. O my Lord, while my eyes be decorated with tears of love flowing constant when I chant the holy name, while my voice choke up, while the hairs of my body stand end, a recitation of your name. O Govinda, feeling your separation, I'm constant moment to be like a great millennium. Tears are flowing from my eyes like torrents of rain, and I'm feeling all vacant in the world in your absence. I know no one but Krishna as my Lord, and he shall remain so if he handles me roughly by his embrace, or makes me broken-hearted but not being present before me. He is completely free to do anything and everything, for he is always my worshipable Lord, unconditionally. Shri Chaitanya Shikshastakam ki jai. Shri Mangala Aarti prayers ki jai. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya चक्षुमृतं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपकदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवंश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगण रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगण ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च नमः ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामी इति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषशून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे नमः ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिसिद्धान्त सरस्वती इति नामिने श्रीवर्षपाणिवि देवी दयिताय कृपप्तये कृष्णसम्बन्धविज्ञानदायिने प्रभवे नमः माधुर्योज्ज्वलप्रेमाद्य श्रीरूपानुगभक्तिद श्रीगौरकरुणाशक्तिविग्रहाय नमोऽस्तुते नमस्ते गौरवाणी श्रीमूर्तये दीनतारिणे रूपानुगविरुताभसिद्धान्तद्वन्द्वहारिणे नमो गौरकिशोराय साक्षात् वैराग्यमूर्तये विप्रलम्बरसम्बोधे पादं पूजयते नमः नमो भक्तिविनोदाय सच्चिदानन्दनामिने गौरशक्तिस्वरूपाय रूपानुगवरायते गौराविर्भावभूमिस्त्वं निर्दिष्टा सजनप्रियः वैष्णवसार्वभौम श्रीजगन्नाथाय ते नमः वञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपासिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानं पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः नमो महावदन्याय कृष्णप्रेमपदायते कृष्णाय कृष्णचैतन्यनाम्ने गौरतिषे नमः पञ्चतत्त्वात्मकं कृष्णभक्तरूपस्वरूपकं भक्तावतारं भक्ताख्यं नमामि भक्तशक्तिकं हे कृष्ण करुणा सिन्धो दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिकान्त राधाकान्त नमोऽस्तुते जयतां श्रोतोर्भङ्गो मम मन्दमतिर्गति मत्सर्वस्वापदं भोजो राधा मदनमोहनो दिव्यवृन्दारण्यकल्पद्रुमदः श्रीमद्रानाकारसिंहासनस्थो श्रीमद्राधा शिरगोविन्ददेवो पृष्ठादिभिः सेव्यमानो स्मरामि श्रीमन्रासरसरम्पि वंशीवततः खर्षं वेणुस्तुनैर्गोपीर्गोपीनाथ श्रीयस्तुनः तप्तकाञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी विषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत दातार श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। श्री मंगलाचरण प्रेयर्स की जय। श्री ब्रह्म संहिता की जय। ईश्वर परम कृष्ण सच्चिदानंद विग्रह अनाद्यराद्य गोविंद सर्वकारण कारणम चिंतामणि प्रखर सत्मसुख प्रवीक्ष रक्षाविधेषु सुरभिरभिपालयन्तं लक्ष्मी सहस्रशतसम्भ्रमसेव्यमानं गोविन्दमादिपुरुषं तमहं भजामि वेणुखवनन्तमरविन्ददलायताक्षं पार्हार्वतं समसितां बुधसुन्दरङ्गं कन्दर्पकोटिकमनीयविशेषशोभं गोविन्दमादिपुरुषं तमहं भजामि आलोलछन्तकलसवनमालवंशी रानङ्गतं फनयकेलिकलाविलासं श्यामं त्रिपङ्गललितं यतप्रकाशं गोविन्दमादिपुरुषं तमहं भजामि अङ्गानि यस्य सकलेन्द्रियवृत्तिमन्ति पश्यन्ति पान्ति कलयन्ति चिरं जगन्ति आनन्दचिन्मयसतुचिरविग्रहस्य गोविन्दमादिपुरुषं तमहं भजामि द्वैतमच्युतमनादिमनन्तरूपम् आद्यं पुराणपुरुषं नवयौवनं च वेदेषु दुर्लभम् अदुर्लभम् आत्मभक्तो गोविन्दमादिपुरुषं तमहं भजामि पन्थासु कोटिशतवत्सरसम्प्रगाम्यो Vayurathapi manaso munipangavaanam Sopi yasti yapapata simya vichinta tatve govindamadi purusham tamaham pachami Ekopya sora chayitum chakatanta kotim Ya chakti rasti chakatanta chayaya dantaha Antantarasta paramanu chayantarastham Govindamadi purusham tamaham pachami Yad bhava bhavitati yo manuchastateva Samprapya rupa mahimasanayana pushaha Suktaryam eva nikama patitai stuvanti Govindamadi purusham tamaham pachami Prananta chimme rasa patipavitapi Stapiya evan jarupataya kalapihi Goloka eva nivasatya kilatma buddho Govindamadi purusham tamaham pachami Primanjana churuta bhakti vilochanena Santa sateva hridayeshu vilokayanti Yam shama sundam achintya guna swarupam Govindamadi purusham tamaham bhajami Ramadi murtishu kalanyamena tishtan Nanavataram bhuvaneshu kintu Krishna swayam samabhava parama pumam yo Govindamadi purusham tamaham bhajami Krishna, who is Govinda, is the Supreme Godhead. He has an eternal, blissful spiritual body. He is the origin of all. He has no other origin, and he is the cause of all causes.
I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, the first progenitor who is tending the cows, yielding all desire in abodes built with spiritual gems, surrounded by millions of purpose trees, always served with great reverence and affection by hundreds of thousands of Lakshmis or Gopis.
I worship Govinda, the primeval lord, who is adept in playing on his flute, with blooming eyes like lotus petals, with head decked with peacock's feathers, with the figure of beauty tinged with the hue of blue clouds, and his unique loveliness charming millions of cupids.
I worship Govinda, the primeval lord, round whose neck is swinging a garland of flowers beautified with the moon locket, whose two hands are adorned with the flute and jewel ornaments, who always revels in pastimes of love, whose graceful threefold bending form of Samasundara is eternally manifest.
I worship Govinda, the primeval lord, who is inaccessible to the Vedas, but obtainable by pure unalloyed devotion of the soul, who is without a second, who is not subject to decay, is without a beginning, whose form is endless, who is the beginning and the eternal Purusha, yet he is a person possessing the beauty of blooming youth.
I worship Govinda, the primeval lord, only the tip of the toe of whose lotus feet is approached by the yogis who aspire after the transcendental and betake themselves to pranayama by drilling the respiration, or by the jnanis who try to find out the non-differentiated Brahman by the process of elimination of the mundane, extending over thousands of millions of years.
He is an undifferentiated entity, as there is no distinction between potency and the possessor thereof. In his work of creation of millions of worlds, his potency remains inseparable. All the universes exist in him, and he is present in his fullness in every one of the atoms that are scattered throughout the universe at one and at the same time. Such is the primeval Lord whom I adore.
I adore the same Govinda, the primeval lord, in whose praise men I adore the same Govinda, the primeval lord, in whose praise men who are imbued with devotion sing the mantra suktas told by the Vedas by gaining their appropriate beauty, greatness, thrones, conveyances, and ornaments.
I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, residing in his own realm, Goloka, with Radha, resembling his own spiritual figure, the embodiment of the ecstatic potency possessed of the 64 artistic activities. In the company of her confident Sakis, embodiments of the extensions of her bodily form, permeated and vitalized by his ever blissful spiritual rasa.
I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, who is Shyam Sundara, Krishna himself, with inconceivable, innumerable attributes, whom the pure devotees see in their heart of hearts with the eye of devotion tinged with the salve of love.
I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, who manifested himself personally as Krishna and the different avatars in the world in the forms of Rama, Nrsimha, Vamana, etc., as the subjective portions.
Sri Brahma Samhita ki jai. Bhagavad Gita 7.1 Purport. Shrinvatam swakata Krishna punya sravana kirtanaha hridayanta histo hi abhadrani vidunoti suhrit satam nashtaprayesva abhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya Bhagavati uttama sloke bhaktir bhavati naistiki tada rajastamo bhava kama lobha dayaschaye cheta eter anavidam sthitam sattve prasidati evam prasanna manaso bhagavat bhakti yogatah bhagavat tattva vijnanam mukta sangasya jayati vidyate hrudaya grantes chidyante sarva samasyah kshyante chasya karmani drushta evatmanishvare.
To hear about Krishna from Vedic literatures or to hear from him directly through the Bhagavad Gita is itself righteous activity. And for one who hears about Krishna, Lord Krishna, who is dwelling in everyone's heart, acts as a best wishing friend and purifies the devotee who constantly engages in hearing of him.
In this way, a devotee naturally develops his dormant transcendental knowledge. As he hears more about Krishna from the Bhagavatam and from the devotees, he becomes fixed in the devotional service of the Lord.
By development of devotional service, one becomes freed from the modes of passion and ignorance, and thus material lust and avarice are diminished.
When these impurities are wiped away, the candidate remains steady in his position of pure goodness, becomes enlivened by devotional service, and understands the science of God perfectly.
Thus, Bhakti Yoga severs the hard knot of material affection and enables one to come at once to the stage of asamsayam samagram, understanding of the Supreme Absolute Truth, Personality of Godhead. Therefore, only by hearing from Krishna or from his devotees in Krishna consciousness can one understand the science of Krishna.
Hare Krishna. We'll continue reading Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Introduction. Sanatana Goswami, formerly known as Sakara Mallika, was in the cabinet service of the Bengal government under the regime of Nawab Hussain Shah. He decided to join with the Lord and thus retired from the service. On his way back home from Vrindavana, when he reached Varanasi, the Lord became the guest of Sri Tapana Mishra and Chandrasekhara, assisted by a Maharashtra Brahmana. At that time, Varanasi was headed by a great sannyasi of the Mayavada school named Sripada Prakashananda Saraswati. When the Lord was at Varanasi, the people in general became more attracted to Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu on account of his mass Sankirtana movement. Wherever he visited, especially the Vishwanatha temple, thousands of pilgrims would follow him. Some were attracted by his bodily features, and others were attracted by his melodious songs glorifying the Lord. The Mayavadi sannyasis designate themselves as Narayana. Varanasi is still overflooded with many Mayavadi sannyasis. Some people who saw the Lord in his Sankirtana party considered him to be actually Narayana, and this report reached the camp of the great sannyasi Prakashananda.
In India, there is always a kind of spiritual rivalry between the Mayavada and Bhagavata schools. And thus, when the news of the Lord reached Prakashananda, he knew that the Lord was a Vaishnava sannyasi, and therefore he minimized the value of the Lord before those who brought him the news. He deprecated the activities of the Lord because of his preaching and the Sankirtana movement, which was, in his opinion, nothing but religious sentiment. Prakashananda was a profound student of the Vedanta, and he advised his followers to give attention to the Vedanta and not to indulge in Sankirtana.
One devotee, Brahmana, who became a devotee of the Lord, did not like the criticism of Prakashananda, and he went to the Lord to express his regrets. He told the Lord that when he uttered the Lord's name before the sannyasi Prakashananda, the latter strongly criticized the Lord. Although the Brahmana heard Prakashananda uttering several times the name of Chaitanya, the Brahmana was astonished to see that the sannyasi Prakashananda could not vibrate the sound of Krishna even once, although he had heard the name of Chaitanya several times.
The Lord smilingly explained to the devotee Brahmana why the Mayavadi cannot utter the holy name of Krishna. The Mayavadis are offenders at the lotus feet of Krishna, although they utter always Brahma, Atma, Chaitanya, etc. And because they are offenders at the lotus feet of Krishna, they are actually unable to utter the holy name of Krishna. The name Krishna and the personality of Godhead Krishna are identical. There is no difference in the absolute realm between the name, form, or person of the absolute truth. Because in the absolute realm, everything is transcendental bliss. There is no difference between the body and the soul for the personality of Godhead Krishna. Thus, he is different from the living entity, who is always different from his outward body because of Krishna's transcendental position. It is very difficult for a layman to actually know the personality of Godhead Krishna, his whole name and fame, etc. His name, fame, form, and pastimes all are one and the same transcendental identity, and they are not knowable by the exercise of the material senses.
The transcendental relationship of the pastimes of the Lord is a source of still more bliss than one can experience by realization of Brahman or by becoming one with the Supreme. Had it not been so, then those who are already situated in the transcendental bliss of Brahman would not have been attracted by the transcendental bliss of the pastimes of the Lord.
After this, a great meeting was arranged by the devotees of the Lord in which all the sannyasis were invited, including the Lord and Prakashananda Saraswati. In this meeting, both the scholars, the Lord and Prakashananda, had a long discourse on the spiritual values of the Sankirtana movement, and a summary is given below.
The great Mayavadi sannyasi Prakashananda inquired from the Lord as to the reason for his preferring the Sankirtana movement to the study of the Vedanta Sutra. Prakashananda said that it is the duty of the sannyasi to read the Vedanta Sutra. What caused the Lord to indulge in Sankirtana?
After this inquiry, the Lord submissively replied, I have taken to the Sankirtana movement instead of the study of Vedanta because I am a great fool. The Lord thus represented himself as one of the numberless fools of this age who are absolutely incapable of studying the Vedanta philosophy. The fool's indulgence in the study of Vedanta has caused so much havoc in the society. The Lord thus continued, and because I am a great fool, my spiritual master forbade me to play with Vedanta philosophy. He said that it is better that I chant the holy name of the Lord, for that would deliver me from material bondage.
In this age of Kali, there is no other religion but the glorification of the Lord by utterance of his holy name. And that is the injunction of all the revealed scriptures. And my spiritual master has taught me one sloka from the Brihan Naradiya Purana. Hari Nama Iva Kevalam Kalu Nasti Eva Nasti Eva Gatir Anyata. So on the order of my spiritual master, I chant the holy name of Hari, and I am now mad after his holy name. Whenever I utter the holy name, I forget myself completely. And sometimes I laugh, cry, and dance like a madman. I thought that I had actually gone mad by this process of chanting, and therefore I asked my spiritual master about it. He informed me that this was the real effect of chanting the holy name, which produces a transcendental emotion that is a rare manifestation. It is a sign of love of God, which is the ultimate end of life. Love of God is transcendental to liberation, mukti, and thus it is called the fifth stage of spiritual realization, above the stage of liberation. By chanting the holy name of Krishna, one attains the stage of love of God, and it was good that fortunately I was favored with the blessing.
On hearing this statement from the Lord, the Mayavadi sannyasi asked the Lord what was the harm in studying the Vedanta along with chanting the holy name. Prakashananda Saraswati knew well that the Lord was formerly known as Nimai Pandita, a very learned scholar of Navadvipa, and his posing as a great fool was certainly to some purpose. Hearing this inquiry by the sannyasi, the Lord smiled and said, My dear sir, if you do not mind, I will answer your inquiry.
All the All the sannyasis there were very much pleased with the Lord for his honest dealings, and they unanimously replied that they would not be offended by whatever he replied. The Lord then spoke as follows. Vedanta Sutra consists of transcendental words or sounds uttered by the transcendental personality of Godhead as such. As such, in the Vedanta, there cannot be any human deficiency like mistake, illusion, cheating, or inefficiency. The message of the Upanishads is expressed in the Vedanta Sutra, and what is said there directly is certainly glorified. Whatever interpretations have been given by Sankaracharya have no direct hearing on the Sutra, and therefore such commentation spoils everything.
The word Brahman indicates the greatest of all, which is full with transcendental opulences, superior to all. Brahman is ultimately the personality of Godhead, and he is covered by indirect interpretations and established as impersonal. Everything that is in the spiritual world is full of transcendental bliss, including the form, body, place, and paraphernalia of the Lord. All are eternally cognizant and blissful. It is not the fault of the Acharya Shankara that he has so interpreted Vedanta, but if someone accepts it, then certainly he is doomed. Anyone who accepts the transcendental body of the personality of Godhead as something mundane certainly commits the greatest blasphemy.
The Lord thus spoke to the sannyasi almost in the same way that he spoke to the Bhattacharya of Puri, and by forceful arguments he nullified the Mayavada interpretations of the Vedanta Sutra. All the sannyasis there claimed that the Lord was the personified Vedas and the personality of Godhead. All the sannyasis were converted to the cult of bhakti. All of them accepted the holy name of the Lord Sri Krishna, and they dined together with the Lord in the midst of them. After this conversion of the sannyasis, the popularity of the Lord increased at Varanasi, and thousands of people assembled to see the Lord in person. The Lord thus established the primary importance of Srimad Bhagavata Dharma, and he defeated all other systems of spiritual realization. After that, everyone at Varanasi was overwhelmed with the transcendental Sankirtana movement.
While the Lord was camping at Varanasi, Sanatana Goswami also arrived after retiring from office. He was formerly one of the state ministers in the government of Bengal. Then, under the regime of Nawab Hussain Shah, he had some difficulty in getting relief from the state service, for the Nawab was reluctant to let him leave. Nonetheless, he came to Varanasi, and the Lord taught him the principles of devotional service. He taught him about the constitutional position of the living being, the cause of his bondage under material conditions, his eternal relation with the personality of Godhead, the transcendental position of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, his expansions in different plenary portions of incarnation, his control of different parts of the universe, the nature of his transcendental abode, devotional activities, their different stages of development, the rules and regulations for achieving the gradual stages of spiritual perfection, the symptoms of different incarnations in different ages, and how to detect them with reference to the context of revealed scriptures.
The Lord's teachings. You want to go, Prabhu? The Lord's teachings to Sanatana Goswami form a big chapter in the text of Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, and to explain the whole teachings in minute details will require a volume in itself. These are treated in detail in our book Teachings of Lord Chaitanya. At Mathura, the Lord visited all the important places. Then he reached Vrindavana. Lord Chaitanya appeared in the family of a high caste Brahmana, and over and above that as a sannyasi. He was a preceptor for all the varnas and ashramas, but he used to accept meals from all classes of Vaishnavas. At Mathura, the Sanodiya Brahmanas are considered to be in the lower stages of society, but the Lord accepted meals in the family of such a Brahmana, also because his host happened to be a disciple of the Madhavendra Puri family.
At Vrindavana, the Lord took bath in 24 important bathing places or ghatas. He traveled to all the 12 important vanas, forests. In these forests, all the cows and birds welcomed him, as if he were their very old friend. The Lord also began to embrace all the trees of those forests, and by doing so, he felt the symptoms of transcendental ecstasy. Sometimes he fell unconscious, but he was made to regain consciousness by the chanting of the holy name of Krishna. The transcendental symptoms that were visible on the body of the Lord during his travel within the forest of Vrindavana were all unique and inexplicable, and we have just given a synopsis only.
Some of the important places that were visited by the Lord in Vrindavana were Kamyavana, Adhiswara, Pavana Sarovara, Khadiravana, Sesasai, Kelatirtha, Bandiravana, Bhadravana, Srivana, Lauvana, Mahavana, Gokula, Kalyahrida, Dwada Saditya, Kesitirtha, etc. When he saw the place where the rasa dance took place, he at once fell down in trance. As long as he remained at Vrindavana, he made his headquarters at Akrura Gata.
From Vrindavana, his personal servitor Krishnadasa Vipra induced him to go back to Prayaga to take bath during the Magha Mela. The Lord acceded to this proposal and they started for Prayaga. On the way, they met with some Pathans, amongst whom there was a learned Maulana. The Lord had some talks with the Maulana and his companions, and the Lord convinced the Maulana that in the Quran also there are descriptions of Bhagavata Dharma and Krishna. All the Pathans were converted to his cult of devotional service. When he returned to Prayaga, Srila Rupa Goswami and his youngest brother met him near Bindu Madhava temple. This time the Lord was welcomed by the people of Prayaga more respectfully. Vallabha Bhatta, who resided on the other bank of Prayaga in the village of Adaila, was to receive him at his place. But while going there, the Lord jumped in the river Yamuna. With great difficulty, he was picked up in an unconscious state. Finally, he visited the headquarters of Vallabha Bhatta. This Vallabha Bhatta was one of his chief admirers, but later on they inaugurated his own party, the Vallabha Sampradaya.
On the bank of the Dashavameda Ghat at Prayag for 10 days continually, the Lord instructed Rupa Goswami in the science of devotional service to the Lord. He taught the Goswami the divisions of the living creatures in the 8.4 million species of life. Then he taught him about the human species. Out of them, he discussed the followers of the Vedic principles. Out of them, the fruitive workers. Out of them, the empiric philosophers and the liberated souls. He said there are only a few who are actually pure devotees of Lord Sri Krishna. Srila Rupa Goswami was a younger brother of Sanatan Goswami, and when he retired from service, he brought with him 2 boats full of gold coins. This means that he brought with him some hundreds and thousands of rupees accumulated by the labor of his service. And before leaving home for Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he divided the wealth as follows: 50% for the service of the Lord and his devotees, 25% for relatives, and 25% for his personal needs in case of emergency. In that way, he set an example for all householders.
The Lord taught the Goswami about devotional service, comparing it to a creeper, and advised him to protect the bhakti creeper most carefully against the mad elephant offense against the pure devotees. In addition, the creeper has to be protected from the desires of sense enjoyment, monistic liberation, and perfection of the Hatha Yoga system. They are all detrimental on the path of devotional service. Similarly, violence against living beings and desire for worldly gain, worldly reception, and worldly fame are all detrimental to the process of bhakti or Bhagavata Dharma.
Pure devotional service must be freed from all desires for sense gratification. Due to aspirations and culture of monastic knowledge, one must be freed from all kinds of designations, and when one is thus converted to transcendental purity, one can then serve the Lord by purified senses.
As long as there is a desire to enjoy sensually or to become one with the Supreme, or to possess the mystic powers, there is no question of attaining the stage of pure devotional service. Devotional service is conducted under 2 categories, namely primary practice and spontaneous emotion. When one can rise to the platform of spontaneous emotion, he can make further progress by spiritual attachment, feeling, love, and many higher stages of devotional life for which there are no English words. We have tried to explain the science of devotional service in our book, The Nectar of Devotion, based on the authority of Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu by Srila Rupa Goswami.
Transcendental devotional service has 5 stages of reciprocation. 1. The self-realization stage just after liberation from material bondage is called the Shanta or neutral stage. After that, when there is development of transcendental knowledge of the Lord's internal opulences, the devotee engages himself in the Dasya stage. By further development of the Dasya stage, a respectful fraternity with the Lord develops, and above that, a feeling of friendship on equal terms becomes manifest. Both these stages are called the Sakya stage or devotional service in friendship. 4. Above this is the stage of parental affection towards the Lord, and this is called the Vatsalya stage. 5. And above this is the stage of conjugal love, and this stage is called the highest stage of love for God, although there is no difference in quality in any of the above stages. The last stage of conjugal love of God is called the Madhurya stage. Thus, he instructed Rupa Goswami in devotional science and deputed him to Vrindavan to excavate the lost sites of the transcendental pastimes of the Lord. After this, the Lord returned to Varanasi and delivered the sannyasis and instructed the elder brother of Rupa Goswami. We have already discussed this.
The Lord left only 8 slokas of his instructions in writing, and they are known as the Sikshashtaka. All other literatures of his divine cult were extensively written by the Lord's principal followers, the 6 Goswamis of Vrindavana and their followers. The cult of Chaitanya philosophy is richer than any other, and it is admitted to be the living religion of the day with the potency of spreading as Vishwadharma, or universal religion. We are glad that the matter has been taken up by some enthusiastic sages like Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaja and his disciples. We shall eagerly wait for the happy days of Bhagavata Dharma or Prema Dharma inaugurated by the Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. The 8 slokas completed by the Lord are 1. Glory to the Sri Krishna Sankirtana, which cleanses the heart of all the dust accumulated for years and extinguishes the fire of conditional life of repeated birth and death. This Sankirtana movement is a prime benediction for humanity at large because it spreads the rays of the benediction moon. It is a life of all transcendental knowledge. It increases the ocean of transcendental bliss and enables us to fully taste the nectar for which we are always anxious.
O my Lord, your holy name alone can render all benediction to the living beings, and thus you have hundreds and millions of names like Krishna and Govinda. In these transcendental names, you invested all your transcendental energies. There are not even hard and fast rules for chanting these names. O my Lord, out of kindness, you enable us to easily approach you by your holy names, but I am so unfortunate that I have no attraction for them.
One should chant the holy name of the Lord in a humble state of mind, thinking oneself lower than the straw in the street. One should be more tolerant than a tree, devoid of all sense of false prestige, and ready to offer all respect to others. In such a state of mind, one can chant the holy name of the Lord constantly.
O Almighty Lord, I have no desire to accumulate wealth, nor do I desire beautiful women, nor do I want any number of followers. I only want your costless devotional service, birth after birth. O son of Maharaj Nanda Krishna, I am your eternal servitor, yet somehow or other I have fallen into the ocean of birth and death. Please pick me up from this ocean of death and place me as one of the atoms at your lotus feet. O my Lord, when will my eyes be decorated with tears of love flowing constantly when I chant your holy name? When will my voice choke up, and when will the hairs of my body stand on end at the recitation of your name? O Govinda, feeling your separation, I am considering a moment to be like 12 years or more. Tears are flowing from my eyes like torrents of rain, and I am feeling all vacant in the world in your absence. I know no one but Krishna as my Lord, and he shall remain so even if he handles me roughly in his embrace or makes me broken-hearted by not being present before me. He is completely free to do anything and everything, for he is always my worshipful Lord unconditionally.
Chapter 1, we finished introduction now, Bhagavatam. Canto 1 introduction is done, so we'll start with Srimad Bhagavata 1.1.1. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Janmadasya Yato Nyaya Itarastaras Chatasveda Bhignav Swarat Tene Brahma Hrudaya Adhikavaye Muhyanti Yat Suryaha Tejo Varimridam Yatha Vinimayo Yatra Trisargo Mrisa Damna Svena Sada Nirasta Kuhakam Satyam Param Dhimahi. Synonyms: Om, O my Lord, Namaha, offering my obeisances. Bhagavate, unto the personality of Godhead. Vasudevaya, unto Vasudeva, the son of Vasudeva, or Lord Sri Krishna, the primeval Lord. Janmadi, creation, sustenance, and destruction. Asya, of the manifested universes. Yata, from whom. Anvayat, directly. Itarataha, indirectly. Cha, and Ardheshu, purposes. Abhigna, fully cognizant. Swarat, fully independent. Thene, imparted. Brahma, the Vedic knowledge. Hruda, consciousness of the heart. Ya, one who. Adhikavaye, unto the original created being. Muhyanti, are illusioned. Yat, by about whom. Surya, great sages and demigods. Teja, fire. Vari, water. Mridam, earth. Yatha, as much as. Vinimaya, action and reaction. Yatra, whereupon. Trisarga, three modes of creation. Creative faculties. Ambrisa, almost factual. Dhamna, along with all transcendental paraphernalia. Svena, self-sufficiently. Sada, always. Nirasta, negation by absence. Kuhakam, illusion. Satyam, truth. Param, absolute. Dhimahi, I do meditate upon. Translation by Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. O my Lord, Sri Krishna, son of Vasudeva, O all-pervading personality of Godhead, I offer my respectful obeisances unto you. I meditate upon Lord Sri Krishna because he is the absolute truth and the primeval cause of all causes of the creation, sustenance and destruction of the manifested universes. He is directly and indirectly conscious of all manifestations, and he is independent because there is no other cause beyond him. It is he only who first imparted the Vedic knowledge unto the heart of Brahmaji, the original living being. By him even the great sages and demigods are placed into illusion. As one is bewildered by the illusory representations of water seen in fire or land seen on water, only because of him do the material universes temporarily manifested by the reactions of the three modes of nature appear factual, although they are unreal. I therefore meditate upon him, Lord Sri Krishna, who is eternally existent in the transcendental abode, which is forever free from the illusory representations of the material world. I meditate upon him, for he is the absolute truth. Purport by Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Obeisances unto the personality of Godhead, Vasudeva directly indicate Lord Sri Krishna, who is the divine son of Vasudeva and Devaki. This fact will be more explicitly explained in the text of his work. Sri Vyasadeva asserts herein that Sri Krishna is the original personality of Godhead and all others are his direct or indirect plenary portions or portions of the portion. Srila Jiva Goswami has even more explicitly explained the subject matter in his Krishna Sandarbha, and Brahma, the original living being, has explained the subject of Sri Krishna substantially in his treatise named Brahma Samhita. In an Upanishad in the Samaveda, it is also stated that Lord Sri Krishna is the divine son of Devaki. Therefore, in his prayer, the first proposition holds that Lord Sri Krishna is the primeval Lord, and if any transcendental nomenclature is to be understood as belonging to the absolute personality of Godhead, it must be the name indicated by the word Krishna, which means all attractive. In Bhagavad Gita, in many places, the Lord asserts himself to be the original personality of Godhead. This is confirmed by Arjuna and also by great sages like Narada, Vyasa, and many others. In the Padma Purana, it is also stated that out of the innumerable names of the Lord, the name of Krishna is the principal one. Vasudeva indicates the plenary portion of the personality of Godhead and all the different forms of the Lord, being identical with Vasudeva, are indicated in this text. The name Vasudeva particularly indicates the divine son of Vasudeva and Devaki. Sri Krishna is always meditated upon by the Paramahamsas, who are the perfected ones among those in the renounced order of life. Vasudeva, or Lord Sri Krishna, is the cause of all causes. Everything that exists emanates from the Lord. How this is so is explained in later chapters of this work. This work is described by Mahaprabhu Sri Chaitanya as a spotless Purana because it contains the transcendental narration of the personality of Godhead Sri Krishna. The history of the Srimad Bhagavatam is also very glorious. It was compiled by Srila Vyasadeva after he had attained maturity in transcendental knowledge. He wrote this under the instructions of Sri Narada Ji. his spiritual master. Vyasadeva compiled all Vedic literatures containing the four divisions of Vedas, the Vedanta Sutras or the Brahma Sutras, the Puranas and the Mahabharata and so on. But nevertheless, he was not satisfied. His dissatisfaction was observed by his spiritual master, and thus Narada advised him to write on the transcendental activities of Lord Sri Krishna. These transcendental activities are described specifically in the 10th canto of this work. But in order to reach to the very substance, one must proceed gradually by developing knowledge of the categories. It is natural that a philosophical mind wants to know about the origin of the creation. At night, he sees the stars in the sky, and he naturally speculates about their inhabitants. Such inquiries are natural for man because man has a developed consciousness which is higher than that of the animals. The author of Srimad Bhagavatam gives a direct answer to such inquiries. He says that the Lord Sri Krishna is the origin of all creations. He is not only the creator of the universe but the destroyer as well. The manifested cosmic nature is created at a certain period by the will of the Lord. It is maintained for some time and it is annihilated by his will. Therefore, the supreme will is behind all cosmic activities. Of course, there are atheists of various categories who do not believe in a creator, but that is due to a poor fund of knowledge. The modern scientist, for example, has created space satellites, and by some arrangement or other, these satellites are thrown into outer space to fly for some time at the control of the scientist who is far away. Similarly, all the universes with innumerable stars and planets are controlled by the intelligence of the personality of Godhead. In Vedic literatures, it is said that the absolute truth, personality of Godhead, is the chief amongst all living personalities. All living beings, beginning from the first created being, Brahma, down to the smallest ant, are individual living beings. And above Brahma, there are even other living beings with individual capacities. The personality of Godhead is also a similar living being. And he is an individual as are the other living beings. But the Supreme Lord or the Supreme Living Being has the greatest intelligence, and he possesses supermost inconceivable energies of all different varieties. If a man's brain can produce a space satellite, one can very easily imagine how brains higher than man can produce similarly wonderful things which are far superior. The reasonable person will easily accept this argument, but there are stubborn atheists who would never agree. Srila Vyasadeva, however, at once accepts the Supreme Intelligence as the Parameshwara. He offers his respectful obeisance unto the Supreme Intelligence addressed as the Para or the Parameshwara or the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And that Parameshwara is Sri Krishna, as admitted in Bhagavad Gita and other scriptures delivered by Sri Vyasadeva, and specifically in this Srimad Bhagavatam. In Bhagavad Gita, the Lord says that there is no other Paratattva, Sumam Burnam, than himself. Therefore, Sri Vyasadeva at once worships the Paratattva, Sri Krishna, whose transcendental activities are described in the 10th canto. Unscrupulous persons go immediately to the 10th canto and especially to the 5 chapters which describes the Lord's rasa dance. This portion of Srimad Bhagavatam is the most confidential part of this great literature. Unless one is thoroughly accomplished in the transcendental knowledge of the Lord, one is sure to misunderstood the Lord's worshipable transcendental pastimes called rasa dance and his love affairs with the gopis. This subject matter is the highly spiritual, and only the repleted persons who have gradually attained to the stage of Paramahamsa can transcendentally relish this rasa dance. Srila Vyasadeva therefore gives the reader the chance to gradually develop spiritual realization before actually relishing the essence of the pastimes of the Lord. Therefore, he purposely invokes a Gayatri mantra, Dhimahi. This Gayatri mantra is meant for spiritually advanced people. When one is successfully chanting the Gayatri mantra, he can enter into the transcendental position of the Lord. One must therefore acquire Brahminical qualities or be perfectly situated in the quality of goodness in order to chant the Gayatri mantra successfully and then attain to the stage of transcendentally realizing the Lord, his name, his fame, his qualities, and so on.
Srimad Bhagavatam is a narration of the Swarupa of the Lord manifested by his internal potency, and this potency is distinguished from the external potency which has manifested the cosmic world, which is within our experience. Srila Vyasadeva makes a clear distinction between the two in the sloka. Sri Vyasadeva says herein that the manifested internal potency is real, whereas the external manifested energy in the form of material existence is only temporary and illusory, like the mirage in the desert. In the desert mirage, there is no actual water. There is only the appearance of water. Real water is somewhere else. The manifested cosmic creation appears as reality, but reality of which this is but a shadow is in the spiritual world. Absolute truth is in the spiritual sky, not the material sky. In the material sky, everything is relative truth. That is to say, one truth depends on something else. This cosmic creation results from the interaction of the three modes of nature, and the temporary manifestations are so created as to present an illusion of reality to the bewildered mind of the conditioned soul, who appears in so many species of life, including the higher demigods, like Brahma, Indra, Chandra, and so on. In actuality, there is no reality in the manifested world. There appears to be reality. However, because of the true reality which exists in the spiritual world, where the personality of God eternally exists with his transcendental paraphernalia.
The chief engineer of a complicated construction does not personally take part in the construction, but he knows every nook and corner because everything is done under his direction. He knows everything about the construction, both directly and indirectly. Similarly, the personality of Godhead, who is the supreme engineer of this cosmic creation, knows every nook and corner, although affairs are being carried out by demigods, beginning from Brahma down to the insignificant ant. No one is independent in the material creation. The hand of the Lord is seen everywhere. All material elements, as well as all spiritual sparks, emanate from Him only, and whatever is created in this material world is but the interaction of the two energies, the material and the spiritual, which emanate from the absolute truth, the personality of Godhead Sri Krishna. A chemist can manufacture water in the chemical laboratory by mixing hydrogen and oxygen, but in reality, the living entity works in the laboratory under the direction of the Supreme Lord, and the materials with which he works are also supplied by the Lord. The Lord knows everything directly and indirectly, and he is cognizant of all minute details, and he is fully independent. He is compared to a mine of gold. The cosmic creations in so many different forms are compared to objects made from the gold, such as gold rings, necklaces, and so on. The gold ring and the gold necklace are qualitatively one with the gold in the mine, but quantitatively the gold in the mine is different. Therefore, the absolute truth is simultaneously one and different. Nothing is absolutely equal with the absolute truth, but at the same time, nothing is independent of the absolute truth.
Conditioned souls, beginning from Brahma, who engineers the entire universe, down to this insignificant ant, are all creating, but none of them is independent of the Supreme Lord. The materialist wrongly thinks that there is no creator other than his own self. This is called Maya or illusion. Because of his poor fund of knowledge, the materialist cannot see beyond the purview of his imperfect senses, and thus he thinks that matter automatically takes its own shape without the aid of a superior intelligence. This is refuted in this shloka by Srila Vyasadeva. Since the complete whole or the absolute truth is the source of everything, nothing can be independent of the body of the absolute truth. Whatever happens to the body quickly becomes known to the embodied. Similarly, the creation is the body of the absolute whole. Therefore, the absolute knows everything directly and indirectly that happens in the creation.
In the Shruti mantra, it is also stated that the absolute whole or Brahman is the ultimate source of everything. Everything emanates from him, and everything is maintained by him, and at the end, everything enters into him. That is the law of nature. In the Smriti mantra, the same is confirmed. It is said that the source from which everything emanates at the beginning of Brahma's millennium and the reservoir to which everything ultimately enters is the absolute truth or Brahman. Material scientists take it for granted that the ultimate source of the planetary system is the sun, but they are unable to explain the source of the sun. Herein, the ultimate source is explained. According to the Vedic literatures, Brahma, who may be compared to the sun, is not the ultimate creator. It is stated in this sloka that Brahma was taught Vedic knowledge by the personality of Godhead. One may argue that Brahma, being the original living being, could not be inspired because there was no other being living at that time. Herein it is stated that the Supreme Lord inspired the secondary creator Brahma in order that Brahma could carry out his creative function. So, the supreme intelligence behind all creations is the absolute Godhead Sri Krishna. In Bhagavad Gita, Lord Sri Krishna states that it is He only who superintends the creative energy Prakriti, which constitutes the totality of matter. Therefore, Srila Vasudeva does not worship Brahma, but the Supreme Lord who guides Brahma in his creative activities. In this sloka, the particular words Abhigna and Swarat are significant. These two words distinguish the Supreme Lord from all other living entities. No other living entity is either Abhigna or Swarat. That is, no one is either fully cognizant or fully independent. Even Brahma has to meditate upon the Supreme Lord in order to create. Then, what to speak of great scientists like Einstein? The brains of such a scientist are certainly not the products of any human being. Scientists cannot manufacture such a brain. And what to speak of foolish atheists who defy the authority of the Lord? Even Mayavadi impersonalists who flatter themselves that they can become one with the Lord are neither Abhigna nor Swarat. Such impersonalists undergo severe austerities to acquire knowledge to become one with the Lord. But ultimately, they become dependent on some rich disciple who supplies them with money to build monasteries and temples. Atheists like Ravana or Hiranyakashipu had to undergo severe penances before they could flout the authority of the Lord. But ultimately, they were rendered helpless and could not save themselves when the Lord appeared before them as cruel death. This is also the case with the modern atheists, who also dare to flout the authority of the Lord. Such atheists will be dealt with similarly, for history repeats itself. Whenever men neglect the authority of the Lord, nature and her laws are there to penalize them. This is confirmed in Bhagavad Gita in the well known verse Yada yada hi dharmasya glani. Whenever there is a decline of dharma and a rise of adharma, O Arjuna, then I incarnate myself. Bhagavad Gita 4.7. That the Supreme Lord is all perfect is confirmed in all Shruti mantras. It is said in the Shruti mantras that the all perfect Lord threw a glance over matter and thus created all living beings. The living beings are parts and parcels of the Lord, and He impregnates the vast material creation with seeds of spiritual sparks, and thus the creative energies are set in motion to enact so many wonderful creations. An atheist may argue that God is no more expert than a watchmaker, but of course, God is greater because He can create machines in duplicate male and female forms. The male and female forms of different types of machineries go on producing innumerable similar machines without God's further attention. If a man could manufacture such a set of machines that could produce other machines without his attention, then he could approach the intelligence of God. But that is not possible for each machine has to be handled individually. Therefore, no one can create as well as God. Another name for God is Asamardva, which means that no one is equal to or greater than Him. Param Satyam, or the Supreme Truth, is He who has no equal or superior. This is confirmed in the Shruti mantras. It is said that before the creation of the material universe, there existed the Lord only, who is master of everyone. That Lord instructed Brahma in Vedic knowledge. That Lord has to be obeyed in all respects. Anyone who wants to get rid of the material entanglement must surrender unto Him. This is also confirmed in Bhagavad Gita. Unless one surrenders unto the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord, it is certain that he will be bewildered.
When an intelligent man surrenders under the lotus feet of Krishna and knows completely that Krishna is the cause of all causes, as confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita, then only can such an intelligent man become a Mahatma or a great soul. But such a great soul is rarely seen. Only the Mahatmas can understand the Supreme Lord is the primeval cause of all creation. He is Parama or ultimate truth, because all the truths are relative to him. He is omniscient. For him there is no illusion. Some Mayavadi scholars argue that Srimad Bhagavatam was not compiled by Sri Vyasadeva, and some of them suggest that this book is a modern creation written by someone named Opadeva. In order to refute such meaningless argument, Sri Sridhara Swami points out that there is reference to the Bhagavatam in many of the oldest Puranas. This first sloka of the Bhagavatam begins with the Gayatri Mantra. There is a reference to this in the Matsya Purana, which is the oldest Purana. In that Purana, it is said, with reference to the Gayatri Mantra in the Bhagavatam, that there are many narrations of spiritual instructions beginning with the Gayatri Mantra. And there is a history of Rutrasura. Anyone who makes a gift of this great work on a full moon day attains to the highest perfection of life by returning to Godhead. There is a reference to the Bhagavatam in other Puranas and in other Puranas also, where it is clearly stated that this work was finished in 12 cantos, which include 18,000 slokas. In the Padma Purana, also there is a reference to the Bhagavatam in a conversation between a Gautama and Maharaja Ambarisa. The king was advised therein to read regularly Srimad Bhagavatam if he desired liberation from material bondage. Under the circumstances, there is no doubt about the authority of the Bhagavatam. Within the past 500 years, many erudite scholars and acharyas like Jiva Goswami, Sanatana Goswami, Vishwanatha Chakravarti, Vallabhacharya, and many other distinguished scholars, even after the time of Lord Chaitanya, made elaborate commentaries on the Bhagavatam. And the serious student would do well to attempt to go through them to better relish the transcendental messages. Srila Vishwanatha Chakravarti Thakura specifically deals with the original and pure sex psychology, Adi Rasa, divide of all mundane inebriety. The whole material creation is moving under the principle of sex life. In modern civilization, sex life is a focal point for all activities. Wherever one turns his face, he sees sex life predominant. Therefore, sex life is not unreal. Its reality is experienced in the spiritual world. The material sex life is but a perverted reflection of the original fact. The original fact is in the absolute truth, and thus the absolute truth cannot be impersonal. It is not possible to be impersonal and contain pure sex life. Consequently, the impersonalist philosophers have given indirect impetus to the abominable mundane sex life because they have overstressed the impersonality of the ultimate truth. Consequently, man, without information of the actual spiritual form of sex, has accepted perverted material sex life as the all in all. There is a distinction between sex life in the diseased material condition and the spiritual sex life. This Srimad Bhagavatam will gradually elevate the unbiased reader to the highest perfectional stage of transcendence. It will enable him to transcend the three modes of material activities: fruitive actions, speculative philosophy, and worship of functional deities as inculcated in Vedic verses. Hare Krishna. Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai. Hare Krishna.
Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Sri Guru Cherana Padma Kevala Bhakati Sadma Rana Kevala Bhakati Sadma Andamoi Savadana Mate Jai Hara Prasadeva E Baba Turiya Krishna Prapti Ho Jaya Hote Gurumukha Padma Vakya Chitete Kuriya Kya Arana Kuri Hamani Asha Sri Guru Cherani Rati Aise Uttama Gati नित्य प्रसादे पूरे सर्वा आशा चक्षुदान दिलो जे जन्मे जन्मे प्रभु से दिव्य ज्ञान हृदय प्रकाशितो प्रेम भक्ति जहाँ होते अविद्या विनाशा जाते वेदे गाय जहरा चरितो श्री गुरु करुणा सिंधु आदा माजे नारा बंधु लोकाना लोके राजीवाना आहा प्रभु गुरु दोया देहा मोरे पादा जाया Ibijas gusuk tribhuwana Srila Prabhupada Patita Pavana Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada जय गुरुदेवा जय गुरुदेवा जय गुरुदेवा जय गुरुदेवा नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्णप्रस्थाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्ति वेदांत स्वामिन्जिति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवी गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यादेशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद यद्वैता गणधर शिवसदि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे नित्याय गौरा हरि बोल नित्याय गौर हरि बोल जय गौरा हरि बोल नित्याय गौर हरि बोल
The lotus feet of our spiritual master are the only way by which we can attain pure devotional service. I bow down to his lotus feet with great awe and reverence. By his grace, one can cross the ocean of material suffering and obtain the mercy of Krishna. My only wish is to have my consciousness purified by the words emanating from his lotus mouth. Attachment to his lotus feet is a perfection that fulfills all desires. He opens my darkened eyes and fills my heart with transcendental knowledge. He is my Lord, birth after birth. From him, ecstatic prema emanates. By him, ignorance is destroyed. The Vedic scriptures sing of his character. Our spiritual master is the ocean of mercy, the friend of the poor, and the Lord and master of the devotees. O Master, be merciful unto us. Give us the shade of your lotus feet. Your fame is spread all over the three worlds. We take the shelter of your lotus feet, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.